What if I told you that this beautiful loaf of sourdough artisan bread broke all the rules? No kneading, no stretching and folding, no auto-leasing, one rise. I mean, easy peasy. Mix it, proof it, bake it, and it turns out beautifully. Well, stick with me today. I am going to show you how to make this recipe. My name is Mary, and I am from the blog, therosehomestead.com, where we share cooking from scratch, gardening, food preservation, and homesteading. I make 2 new videos a week, so if that sort of thing interests you, please consider hitting the subscribe button down below. Let's jump right into this recipe. All right, so we're going to start with 1.5 cups of water. Now, I have heated mine to lukewarm because it's kind of chilly here. I don't know about where you live, but it's just not getting warm. We have had a fire all last week, and we're going to build one next week because it's just really chilly. But you don't have to do that, but it will kind of help it to rise a little faster. So we have our water filtered. And now we're going to do a cup of active sourdough starter. I fed this about 3 days ago and it's been in the refrigerator. It's getting a little hungry, but it's fine. It'll work. Alright, so we're just going to give this a little bit of a mix to incorporate the starter and the water together. Alright, there we go. So now I'm going to add 1/2 cup of freshly milled flour. Now stay tuned, I am working this recipe to be a 100% freshly ground wheat, but this is a great beginner loaf if you want to make it. You don't have to add any of the whole wheat. You can just do all-purpose or bread flour, whatever you have. And just so you know, I'm using hard white wheat for my freshly ground. So now we're going to add sorry, I had to think. So now we're going to add 2.5 cups of all-purpose. I'm using an organic, unbleached, all-purpose flour. So that gives us 3 cups right now, but we will be adding more to this in just a minute. That's just initially to get it mixed up, and 1.5 teaspoons of salt. This is a 1/2 teaspoon, so it looks like I'm adding a lot, but it's not. Alright, so now I'm going to give this a mix. This recipe came by accident. I threw together one of my same-day sourdough loaves, sandwich loaves, and when I went to bed that night, all I could think was, could we not do this with artisan bread? Could we not just throw it together like this and not do all this other stuff and it still turn out? And I could not wait to get up the next morning and try it, and it turned out beautifully. And so I got so excited. All right, we're going to go for another cup. So what we're looking for is 4 cups of flour, but I didn't mean to grab the 1 cup, but we're going to add the last cup, 1/2 cup at a time, to make sure we don't put too much flour. So we're going to put our last 1/2 cup in here, so we're 4 cups of flour. And that's that. We're going to kind of just barely mix it in with this dough whisk, or if you have a wooden spoon or fork or whatever. And then we're going to finish it with our hands because it's just easier. You don't really want to knead it. What I'm doing is just trying to incorporate the flour. If some of the flour doesn't incorporate, that's fine. If you're left with a little bit in the bottom, you're just wanting to make sure that it's all incorporated. It's going to be shaggy and kind of what I would call a supple dough. It's not too sticky, but it's not dry either. The 4 cups seems to work perfect. That's good enough. So if you can see, it's a shaggy dough. And there's little bits left, but that's fine. That's not going to be a problem. So I'm going to prepare my banneton basket, and I'm going to tell you how you can use different things for this. You don't have to have any special equipment at all. So this is my banneton basket, and you can use a colander, a medium-sized colander, or even a bowl. The whole point of it is something that keeps its shape, because if you just like maybe just let it rise right in the Dutch oven, it could spread out and make a flatter loaf of bread. But these are like $20-something in on Amazon. I can link this one down below if you're interested. And I'm going to put a tea towel. Now you don't want those towels that have like fuzzy, like terry cloth or whatever. Make sure that it's cotton or linen would work really well too. So we're going to generously flour this, because you can always dust off some of the flour from the top of the loaf, but if it sticks, it's not going to be pretty. There we go. A little bright. So there, we got that floured. And like I said, don't worry if it looks like a lot of flour. You can always take a little brush and get that off. All right, so we're going to grab our dough and just put it on the table, and we're going to shape it. Now this doesn't have to be pretty. Just pull all of the ends toward the center and then turn it over. And what we're doing is just kind of making it, round, and if you need a little flour in your hands, that's fine. And just shaping it. You want to try to avoid putting too much flour on the table, because you're wanting to seal the seams, and if there's a lot of flour there, it won't seal very well. I'm just turning it until I feel the tension on the top of the loaf. And there we go. Now I'm going to also dust the top. I know this seems like a lot of flour, but if you've ever had one stick to the banneton basket, then you know what I'm trying to avoid. Okay, so we're going to put this in the banneton basket, and what you're wanting to do is put this side down on the floured surface. So what I'm going to do is just turn it over, and it's okay if it's sticky on the bottom, that's fine. And then we just put it in here. Now what I'm going to do is sprinkle a little more flour and just kind of pinch this together. And the reason you pinch it together is just to keep the tension on top of the loaf. That's all that you're wanting to do, is to make sure it doesn't settle too much. And it also seals the seam. And that's why you want this bottom side sticky and not floury, because you want to seal the seam. That looks pretty good. So now I'm going to, for some insurance, I'm going to sprinkle just a little bit more flour around the edges, because as it rises or proofs, it will settle more into the sides. And then just a little bit of flour on top so the towel doesn't stick too much. And that's that. This is ready to proof. I'm just going to cover it with the towel, like so. And I'm going to put like a bowl cover or some saran wrap just to make sure we hold all the moisture in. And that's it. We're just going to let this sit for, usually with my starter, it takes between 4 to 5 hours. Yours may be different, but We're just going to let this sit on top of the refrigerator because we don't have a fire today and it's a little bit chilly in the house. And then after about 4 or 5 hours, it's ready to bake. So this dough has been going for between 4.5 to 5 hours. And it is very airy and puffy. I don't even have to wonder if it's proof because it is just like a pillow when I touch it. But if you're not sure, you can just poke your finger down into it, and if it stays, the indentation stays, then it's ready to go. I know that this is ready, but I'm going to go ahead and put one in there. And I'm going to show you. The indentation stayed. It's hard to see. It's still there. So my Dutch oven has been in the oven preheating to 450 degrees, and I'm going to get it out of the oven, and then we will score this and bake it off. So now I'm going to get the bread out of here. And I like to use one of these bread slings, but you can use a piece of parchment paper. And I just lay it on top and then flip it over. And carefully. So now we are going to, I have not got this in the right place. Sorry guys, let me pull you down a little. And now we're going to score it. I don't do anything really special. I just do a big slash on one side. That makes your ear, if you're wanting that. And then I just do like a little wheat pattern on the rest. But you can do anything that you want. You can be very creative with this. So now I'm just going to pick this up and put it over in the Dutch oven. Carefully, it's very hot. There we go. We're going to get the lid back on. It goes in the oven for 20 minutes with the lid on. So after 20 minutes, we're going to take the lid off of the Dutch oven and let it continue to bake without the lid for about 15 minutes to get that nice crust on top. Spoiler alert, my first slash was not quite deep enough. This happens to me sometimes. Didn't get the ear, but it's looking beautiful. I can't wait for you to see how this turned out. Alright guys, thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you'll give this recipe a try. As always, there will be a link for a printable recipe in the description box below, and I hope you'll go over and check that out. Put this in your recipe book. It's a really good one to have in there. So if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and give us a subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you on the next one.